Today is a very special day. We're starting a new series, Martial Arts Training in the Car, otherwise known as Matt in the Car. I thought that was kind of funny. You know, M-A-T, my name's Matt, Martial Arts Training in the Car. So yeah, and the reason why I'm doing this is, one, I've been looking for a way to kind of express some thoughts about martial arts, thoughts about training, thoughts about how I approach training people. I find that the car can, and while driving, is almost a meditative spot where you can really, I don't know, just turn off your brain for a minute, think about some training, think about some, especially for me, when I'm ready to coach tonight, I like to go through a cycle of what I'm working on, maybe some overall themes that we've been talking about in the week. But also, I tend to ponder a lot. I am a bit of a thinker, where I like to kind of dive into a topic in my head. And that goes along the lines of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, is that I get a lot of these, I think, important thoughts, important stories or relations or concepts. Maybe that something happened on the mat that, you know, maybe think of something that I should probably share with others. That happens a lot, where I say something to someone, and as they're learning something, I got to remember to use that or say that again, because I really help them. And as well as big concepts we talk about when training. And the first concept I wanted to talk about, because it's been coming up a lot with new students lately, is essentially the question is how to maximize your training. And I'm actually put my sunglasses, get really bright in a second. How to maximize your martial arts training. They are under this conception that, you know, once they join a martial arts gym or martial arts school, that they need to suddenly be training, you know, like Jackie Chan nonstop all the time, that it needs to become this nonstop obsession. They need to, you know, put heavy bags in their bedroom, whatever, you know, doing forms. I have no fucking idea. But the truth of it is that there is a lot of at-home training and ways to cheat your training. So I like to tell them that, no, you don't have to do any specific things at home, but there are things that you should, and a lot of people do use. For instance, mirror work, shadow boxing, finding objects to kind of play with and just interact with that feel like an opponent or may challenge your footwork. There's, in my mind, a martial artist is always training in some way, because the martial artist is creative. There's a lot of different things that you can do in martial arts. I mean, fuck, it's the biggest game you'll ever play. There's so much to explore that exploring it at home or while you're in the car is not a bad idea either. Now, how do you explore in the car? And this actually is something that I wanted to bring up, and I talk a lot about my students when they answer this question. One of the things, they ask the question, how can they get better when they're not on the mat? And one of the things I did very early on in my training was that I would, one, take notes. I was a big note taker. And that always helped me connect to what I was learning in the lesson. So as I was learning, I would write it down to just kind of help better connect me to what I was learning, right? Get another layer of learning, you know, written, verbal, all that type of stuff. So then another thing I would do is when I was driving home, I would always turn off the music and think what went right, what went wrong. You've probably heard this before. It was a very instinctual thing for me to do, that I would analyze, you know, if the was rolling, you know, what went right during that roll, what techniques I learned, or what was the big lesson of that night, what was my golden nugget. That's a huge thing I look for every single day I'm training. What's the golden nugget of the day? You know, what piece of information can I take away that really changed the day, or changed my perspective on martial arts, or explain, you know, change my ability to do a certain task. You know, every day I'm hunting for it. So it would, you know, and they are. They're you'll find millions of nuggets all throughout the day if you're hunting for them and looking for the, you know, on the right path. If you're on a martial arts path, you're gonna find golden nuggets every day. If you're on a business path, you'll find them. So I would ponder those on the way home, you know, especially the things I needed to work on. And that became a big part of, I would say, my development, is just really pondering and thinking, being brutally honest with myself. Like, yeah, if you had a good day, you realize why it was good. Did you just beat up somebody new and you felt like you had a good day? Or did you have a challenging experience, learn something crazy, and you're able to do it, and it just felt natural to you? I'm like, oh, fuck, that was a good day, you know? Or did you get the shit ever looking kicked out of you, and training felt awkward, you were lazy, or breathing heavy, whatever it is, and, you know, analyze why was that and what went wrong. Maybe it was the techniques you were working with, partner you were with, maybe you weren't feeling good, whatever the fucking, you know, excuse you've got. Bad days are bad days, they happen. But, you know, understanding them, and it was a big deal for me. Now, and I interject. I don't know who said this to me and when I heard it, but I like the thought that every day doesn't have to be perfect, right? So even when you are training martial arts. Like let's say putting 3 days a week, and that's consistent, that's normal, right? You don't have to go crazy and think that you need to do all this extra stuff. So every day doesn't have to be perfect. Every week doesn't have to be perfect. Excuse me about that. I'm drinking my Reigns. I fucking love these things, guys. Reigns should sponsor me. The Dreamsicle ones. If you've had these, and the people out there who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. These things are fucking crazy. Excuse me. Listen, it's an inaugural episode. I really have no idea how this is gonna turn out, but it's something I've been wanting to do. I literally put this mount here to do it, so we're just running with it. Think about the video blog of martial arts training in the car. So, shit. Maximizing time. So, when you're driving, when you have that time to think yourself, reflect, I think it's a great way to instantly connect how you can get better. And what I was saying is that if you put just a small effort, every day you just move the needle a little bit, like daily 1% improvement. There's actually a book about this. I think it's called Daily 1% Improvement or something along that lines, where it's a small incremental improvement every single day. So some days you're gonna have this monster growth. You understood a new concept, you felt great, you just achieved something awesome, you made a shit ton of money, whatever it is in your life. You're gonna have those freaking days and relish in those days. And you're also have the days that fucking tank, that suck, you can barely do anything, but you do something. You don't just sit on your ass. You don't just it doesn't mean you go up and train. It doesn't mean or if you're sick, you can't train. But if you have a fundamentals class or you have bag work to do or whatever, you just do the bare minimum. You get something in. You don't have to have this perfect fucking workouts. You just make sure, and I look at things too, is when you talk about training, you can look at it multiple different ways. And in the beginning, I like to have people focus on how many days a week. When I tell a new student joining, I say 10 times a month. That's 2.5 days a week. 10 times a month, 2.5 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week is a reasonable beginner's scale for how much you're training. And you can easily add more things to your schedule to make that better. One way to do it is stack your schedule. Let's say you're training, 2 modalities. Half an hour, 45 minutes you spend on striking, half an hour, 45 minutes you spend on grappling, or maybe you layer or have a location or have the opportunity to train like location I have with a strength training, MMA and jiu-jitsu all mixed together. Maybe 45 minutes your session is strength training and 45 minutes is grappling, or you're able to spend 3 hours just grappling alone. I think if you could find that extra time, instead of just making your session 1 hour, stay longer, find something else to do. Go to the gym before or after, find another way to really maximize your output. If you only have 3 days a week to train, you absolutely must make the most of them. Now, where I see a lot of new martial artists fail, especially, not even new, it's more almost intermediate martial arts fail, especially BJJ. BJJ is guilty of this. Of course, I have a huge BJJ background, so I can understand this. Is that when you get to about your purple or blue or purple belt level, you start taking it easy in training. You don't need to drill this thing anymore. You know this one. It's not part of your game. I've done this before. We just worked on this. This thing's stupid. I don't even think this works. I hear it all the time, but very rarely, because I've changed how I manage things now. I can explain that later. But it's an annoying practice. And when Oz and I were training, or it's an annoying thing for the teacher, one, and two, it's just making your experience shitty. That's the level of integrity and respect you bring to martial arts, that I know this already, I'm good enough for this. Fuck, you're never gonna make the black belt. You're never gonna be a quality martial artist. But when Oz and I are training, Oz and I have been training about 25 years together. Japanese jiu-jitsu, Japanese karate, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. We actually got our BJJ black belt together. I promoted him into black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. Long history together, Oz and I. But when we were training BJJ together, and we were each other's training partner, we would make it a fucking mission to get as many clean, focused repetitions in as possible. If we didn't understand something, our hands were instantly raised. Help us from give us the tips. What's the secret we need? I mean, that's just maximizing your training right there. So if you're thinking of different ways, how can I get better? How can I maximize my martial arts experience? How can I train at home? Think first, one, you don't have to be a fucking superstar. And two, look at how you are training. If you're in the class and you're putting a half-ass effort, you're gonna get half-ass results out. when I have a common statement I say when I'm leading class. You're always in a fight. If I'm spending maybe 45, the way I work my schedule and the way we stack our schedule, it's in 45-minute blocks, but you're encouraged to at least spend an hour and a half to 2.5 hours with us. No, 2 hours and 15 minutes with us to like for one session, whether it's an MMA session or a grappling session or jiu-jitsu session. But when you're training, I'm trying to keep you in a fight the whole time. Yes, we take breaks, but that means like if you're doing MMA, you're throwing a combination or doing a drill, you don't reset your guard, step away, whatever, and get back at it. You're always acting before, after a combination like you're in a fight. You're always in your stance. You're always ready to go. The timer's on. You should be moving. When you're doing drills and techniques, it almost should act like you guys are just flowing in and out of things. Especially the way I teach, or like I try to teach in the TRITAC system, that if there's an offense, there's typically an escape we work on right after. And for you guys who are new to training, listen, one of the best ways you can maximize your experience in jiu-jitsu or even fight sports is make your training offense versus defense or offense versus escape. What do I mean by that? Say we're working a basic takedown drill. I hit a takedown, and instead of just stepping back and maybe even putting my hand out to hold you up, I stay on top of you, kind of monitor the position for a second, and let you find your way out. I don't give resistance, very light resistance. I'm not fighting you, but I give you a chance to like feel the exit. Where is the pathway? How do I find the solution to get out a little bit? Almost like we game it. I can't stand. I almost yell at my students. Not almost. I do. If I see someone reach their hand down to help somebody else up, I lightly and in humor shame them. What the fuck are you doing? You're fucking helping him up? Oh, you're a nice guy. We're not fucking nice people here. Don't help that guy. If you stand top and make him work his way up. It's a joke, but it's truth. You're always in a fight. So I mean, have that training. If you don't do that with your training partner, or if you had class in the call for it, do that with your training partner. You know what I mean? It creates a great way to train a lot of different ways of the fights. You're not just doing your offense, you're doing your defense, your counters. There are certain, for example, on the MMA side or striking side, there are certain times when to hold mitts and not hold mitts. I'll be honest, I'm not a really big mitt holding guy. I don't like a lot of mitt holding drills. I believe the fighters, and they need them to work specific combinations that they're developing, or certain patterns that they're developing that really needs to be instinctual. But even then, it's the need for a mitts only experience, which, to be honest, some martial arts gyms I've seen are hardcore mitts only. I love mitts class, and there should be a mitts session, but I don't know. That's just a whole other topic that we can go into. Long story short, if I'm working a combination, I give you the defense of the combination. The best way to do this in the beginning is get someone a high guard. You have someone actually hitting the head. You're learning to give them that basic high guard defense. Now we're actually getting, the person's learning to punch properly, hitting the proper spot. Like get the proper mechanics, the range, the distance, the feeling, turning the hand over, all the things that you need to do in understanding punching that when you're holding mitts can quickly go away, right? And then a person's also learning how to defend and receive. And I just think it's one of our quick little secrets for training, that if I'm working by combination and I just give you a simple defense that allows me to understand on offense that what I'm hitting, what I'm doing, that gives me a proper feel, that it's a double benefit where, then everybody's training it the whole time. That way, no one's just holding mitts for somebody else. To me, it's a fucking waste of time. This guy let's be honest, you as a student, let's say you're the guy in a mitts class. If you are spending an hour in that class, which is typical, they say 45 minutes an hour, depending on your gym stacks your schedule, and you spend half the fucking time on, it's kind of funny. You'll probably spend a quarter of the time for instruction, quarter time for holding mitts, the quarter time on break, and a quarter time doing actual work. That's fucking sad, dude. But and honestly, it's if you think about your schedule when you're in class, like I wonder if that's I've seen it. I've been to a lot of martial arts schools, way too many martial arts, and walked out of martial arts schools because of the way they've trained. No bullshit. Story for another time. But it's funny. Like some schools just do some weird shit. My point being is like, find a way to train for yourself that allows you to be in a fight the whole time. Maximize your experience. try to, what can you do? How can you, and if you're doing a drill, whether it's with yourself or a buddy, how can you make it feel real? How can you just, I don't know, make it come alive? And I think, make it feel like in your fight. I think that's one of the best benefits. The other benefit, as I said in the beginning, is that at-home training. Now, at-home training is not necessarily the point, but you can get a lot out of it by simple shadow boxing work. And shadow boxing work is arguably a very challenging skill, to be honest with you, because everybody fucks it up. It's everybody's interpretation of what fighting should look like. And 90% of the time when people are doing shadow boxing work, they are going at a horrible pace. Their footwork is all over the fucking place. They have no clue what they're doing, and they're just throwing garbage. In fact, they're making their technique worse. If you are shadow boxing, you should take what you did the night before, or what you're working on, or what YouTube video you saw, slow that fucking video down to snail's pace, 0.25 speed, watch perfectly how they're doing things and try to mirror it. Learn the technique and the feel of it. And that's what at-home training should be doing. Reinforcing something you've done already. Maybe it's nice and slow, air grappling or shadow boxing. Get the feel of something. And then I think that's an awesome way to start training. Well, in the car. I mean, just don't close your eyes and do it. But, training at home, in the car, a lot of different ways that you can maximize your results. So the guys, we are at the gym. We're at TRITAC. It is 3:57. Class starts, or session start at 4 o'clock. Thankfully, my strength coach is here ready to go. And, man, I hope you had a good experience as I did talking about martial arts in the car. Matt in the car. I'll see you. Bye.